So what's your name, sir?
My name is Paul Germann,
What branch of the service were you in?
Air Force.
The Air Force. What was your job in the Air Force?
My what?
Your job. What was your rating? Your job?
Information specialist.
Okay.
Information services specialist.
What does that do?
Well, it's like a public relations office for the Air Force. Um, I just, I'm a just journalism major, and I was a junior in school when my dad called me and said, "You got my draft notice for the Korean War." And we worked out a deal where I could finish college if I signed up for the Air Force upon graduation. So I had to, after I graduated from DePaul University, I got my notice to report to Lackland Air Force Base as a airman basic, and went through 6 weeks of training there. Then was sent to Moody Air Force Base in Valdosta, Georgia, where I was assigned editorship of the base newspaper and PR work, press releases, and notification of crashes and information to the public. I stayed at Moody for 3 years, and then was called to personnel and told to report to a jet training school, or not jet training, jet engineering school, to become a maintenance man. And we didn't really particularly like that idea, since I had gone to college for 4 years to learn something else. And then they found out that they had made a mistake and gave me a choice of Alaska or Germany. Being German, I decided that, of course, I would go to Germany, and went there for my final year of 4 years in the Air Force. From there, I became friends of the recruiting department. They were right next to us in wing headquarters, and they tried to get me to re-enlist and go to Darmstadt to join the Stars and Stripes staff, but I would have had to re-enlist and sign up for another 4 years, I think it was. And I was anxious to get on with my civilian efforts. I may sound like a recruiting specialist for the Air Force. I'm not, but my 4 years in the Air Force were some of the most interesting and profitable to me career-wise than anything I've done, which has been a lot. And so I got my first job at Continental Casualty Company in Chicago for the public relations staff, where I edited the sales magazine for 2 years. And then I applied for a job with Encyclopedia Britannica and got a job as editor of their corporate publications. And I stayed there for 11 years. And then my dad called me one time and he said, "Have you ever thought of living on Clearwater Beach?" And I said, "No," because I said I couldn't afford it. And he said, "Well, I happen to buy a house there, and your mother and I thought we could have you come down here and get a job." And he mentioned the idea of starting an antique shop because he was an antique aficionado. And he and my mother went to all the sales and everything else to pick out antiques for themselves. So I went down there, and it was a very nice little bungalow on the beach, a block away from the Gulf. And I said, okay, and I went down there, took a leave from Britannica, and went down there and found out that to own a home cost a lot of money. And so I got a job at the St. Petersburg Times on a trial basis. But the traffic on Clearwater, between Clearwater and St. Petersburg, was very heavy, and I had to sit at the desk that night and go back to Clearwater at midnight, and I didn't like that very much. So I told my folks I was thinking of going back to Chicago, to Britannica, and they said, "Why did you come down here?" And I said, "Well, we said something about opening an antique shop." And Dad said, "Let's do it." So he bought a building, and we went into the antique business. Mother said it was the happiest days of his life running that thing. He worked out an arrangement where I could still get a job part-time at the local healthcare complex. And so we did that, and he played golf 3 days a week and took the shop 3 days a week, and I took the shops 3 days a week and did my work at the hospital in the community relations department. I stayed there for 15 years and then retired at 55, and well, that's the end of the story, except I spent the rest of my life, I'm 95 now, and or will be in April, and I think I'll make it. So I have lived a very blessed life, and I think that everybody should serve in the military for at least a year after high school, just for the discipline and the possibilities of their future being very much better. That's it.
Do you have any kids? Do you have any kids?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any kids?
No, I'm a hermit, a bachelor for all of my life, but I've traveled the world. I've met some fantastic people, and I don't dare have a complaint in the world about my life. So I hope it continues at least until after the election, and that I hit 95 in 7 months or something like that. And then I'll move on to my final destination. It's been a wonderful life. Sorry about going on and on and on, but it's been a busy life.
Well, that's what we're here for, is to find out about your life.
Well, I can't make any complaints about anything, so if you can't say something nice, don't say anything.
Good words to live by.
Thanks. I hope I haven't talked too long.
No. Do you have any leaders in your military career? Were there any leaders?
I wrote a 386-page memoir. It took me 6 years, but I paid tribute to my mother and father, who are exceptional people, and my friends, whom I find most interesting and contribute a great deal to my own happiness and success. It was a very satisfying effort for me, as well as another book that I wrote was the history of the healthcare complex on their 50th anniversary. Both things I'm very proud of. So that's the story of my life.
Well, there's not a lot of people that can say they've been published, much less published twice.
Well, I just published the minimum number of copies. I feel that somehow or other, mother and father know that I appreciated what they've done for me. And I'm very, very lucky to have lived the life I have.
If I'm a young person sitting here
I'm sorry?
If I'm a young person sitting here, what advice would you give me about joining the military?
About joining the military?
Yes, sir.
I think everybody, as I said earlier, I think everybody should serve at least a year or two just to continue growing up before they hit the world. I've met some very, very fine people in the military. And of course, in my job, I had the run of the base. And I just, so many nice people, officers, airmen, townspeople, wonderful experience. I think everybody should have to serve. I think it helps everybody. And it also certainly helps the country.
With your service, did it help you with understanding the diversity of people in?
Yes, definitely. I happen to be a very aware person, and yes, it helped me a lot in my life. Some very fine people. I mean, officers, airmen, townspeople, wonderful.
With all of your success in life, do you have a credo or something that drives you?
A long time ago, when I was in high school, I attended a lecture by a gentleman who was editor of an Ohio newspaper, I believe. My memory's not that good anymore, but he said, when you reach for the stars, you won't come up with a handful of mud. And that's been my credo for a long time, since high school anyway. It works.
That seems like definitely a good credo or a way to live your life.
It worked for me.
Do you have a favorite story from the military you'd like to share with us? I know there's
A lot of them.
You pick one or two.
I think it was the surprise I got one time when I was at Moody Air Force Base. My dad had said, "Where are you going to be assigned?" And I said, "I haven't heard yet." And he said, "Well, as long as you don't get stuck someplace in the south in a swamp." And of course, Moody is right on the Okefenokee Swamp in Georgia. And I flew down there and landed at an airport that was totally empty, except for pine trees all around it. And when I got off the airplane, I looked around, one other guy was sent there, and I thought, boy, this is going to be fun. And one of my first assignments was on a crash patrol where, of course, I was awakened at 2 o'clock in the morning and told to go out with a van with a cargo group and look for the possible sighting of a crash. And then I had to go back to the office and call the media and notify them that they would be notified when we found out more details. And that was one of the only times I had to do that, and I was so thankful for it that I was prepared for anything at that time. It's one of the experiences that sets me up for the future. I'll never forget that night. It was raining, and we were stomping through the wet woods looking for a crash site. The experiences like that stick in my memory today.
In your travels, what was your favorite place? What was your favorite place to travel to, or where were you stationed that was one of your favorite places?
Germany, because I was sent to a place in southern Germany, Trier, which is a fantastic city from going back to Roman times, and it's a wonderful sightseeing place. but more than anything else, it gave me a chance to travel to all the capitals of Europe. And what better experience could you have to have traveled the world? And I just continued traveling. I walked the Great Wall of China and looked at the Sydney Opera House and Houses of Parliament. Wonderful experiences. And it's all due to my military training.
That says a lot for the military. And
I
says
wo-
a lot for you.
I'm a happy boy.
Do you personally have anything that you'd like to add to this interview?
Regarding,
Whatever you want. This is your time.
wasn't there a movie where James Stewart or something said, "It's a Wonderful Life"?
Yes, sir.
Can be.
It can be.
If everybody behave.
Everybody just gets along, respects one another.
We're having some problems these days that I don't particularly care for. I guess what goes around comes around. History can become better, I think.
Yes, sir.
I'm lost. I had to sell my car because I couldn't navigate the sound system or the climate controls, or every time I took the car for service, some serviceman had turned the mirrors around, and I took half an hour one time trying to get the buttons turned around. I'm a journalist. I'm not a technician. I should have gone to jet training school.
Help you figure out today's cars.
Yeah, well, not only cars. I don't have a cell phone. I've tried it and I can't wiggle my finger enough. I lose everything I want. It's getting too complicated, and now they're coming up with something like artificial intelligence or things like that. I like the idea of it because the stocks are doing very well, but other than that, I'm lost.
Well, as we all get older, we all get a little more lost in this tech.
I'm sorry?
As we all get a little older, we all start getting a little more lost in that technology.
Too old till we get smart.
I understand.
And then what do they say? When you go downhill, you go faster?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've got all those things up there. I lived on those things. When I was a kid, my mother was, as I said, she was an unusual person. And she brought us up on Ben Franklin's autobiography. And and I can't think of the one now that I say. Sorry.
It happens. So to end this interview,
It's the story of my life.
it's the story of your life. That's what we're looking for. To end this interview, is there anything else you would like to add or advice you'd like to give? Anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I'm getting weary, and I don't particularly care for what's coming. I feel sorry for, right now I said to my care manager, I think that I might not vote. I think I may let the rising generation of young people decide who they want during this election, because I'm not going to be around. And I've had my votes. I think Eisenhower was the first president I voted for. So I'm tired of going to the voting booth. Let other people decide what they want for their future. Oh, I'm getting too philosophical now.
Do you have any
I
family?
forget there's a camera on me.
Do you have any family, friends, or loved ones you'd like to say something to?
I am all alone except for those who survived me so far, and there aren't very many. I got word that just the other day that one of my childhood friends passed away at 94, and all my favorite actors and actresses are passing away, and it's been a wonderful life, and that's all I can say.
Well, on that lovely and beautiful note, we
Well,
would like
I
to,
don't know why I'm doing this, but
we would like to thank you for
well,
your service.
I'm sorry I was late for the interview.
Oh, we don't care about that.
Well, I didn't. I think that my friend that arranged the interview, I hope she'll be happy with me for making it.
Well, I'll tell you this. You are one of the most interesting interviews we've had today.
I don't think so.
I believe so. I've been doing them. Thank you for your time and your service, sir. We appreciate you very
And
much.
please too.